The cold sleep chamber made a soft hiss as it opened. Captain Tejo felt the warm air touch his skin for the first time in 6 months. His body was stiff and his mind was foggy, but this was normal after cryosleep. He had done this many times before. The ship's lights were dim and blue, just like always. But something felt different today. Tejo sat up slowly and looked around the sleep bay. All the other chambers were opening too. Steam came out of each one as his crew woke up from their long sleep. "Status report," Tejo said. His voice was rough and dry. The ship's computer spoke in a calm voice. "Captain, the date is March 15th, 2387. All systems are working well. The quarantine period has ended." Tejo stopped moving. The quarantine period had ended. After 200 years, humanity was finally free to leave their prison ship and explore the galaxy again. Dr. Hana was the first to stand up from her chamber. She was the ship's chief scientist and always woke up faster than everyone else. Her black hair was messy and she looked tired, but her eyes were bright with excitement. "Did I hear that right?" she asked. "The quarantine is over?" "That's what the computer said," Tejo replied. He was trying to stay calm, but inside he felt his heart beating fast. 200 years ago, the Galactic Council had locked humanity away from the rest of the galaxy. They said humans were too dangerous to be around other alien species. They said humans caused too much trouble and started too many wars. Kang Min, the ship's engineer, was stretching his arms and legs. He was young and strong, with curious eyes that always looked like he was trying to solve a puzzle. "So what happens now, Captain? Do we just fly to the nearest alien world and say hello?" Tejo thought about this. It was not that simple. They had been locked away for so long that they did not know what the galaxy looked like now. Were the same alien empires still in control? Had new species joined the Galactic Council? Were humans still hated and feared? Sora, the ship's navigator, was the youngest person on the crew. She was only 25 years old, which meant she had been born during the quarantine. She had never seen an alien before. She had never visited another world. All she knew about the galaxy came from old books and computer files. "Captain," Sora said in a quiet voice, "what are aliens really like? The files say they have different skin and different eyes, but what are they like as people?" Before Tejo could answer, the ship's computer spoke again. "Captain, I am picking up signals from nearby star systems. Should I begin scanning for inhabited worlds?" "Yes," Tejo said. "But keep our distance for now. We need to learn what has changed before we make contact." The main view screen turned on and showed the stars outside. They looked the same as always, but Tejo knew that somewhere out there were worlds full of aliens who might still think humans were monsters. Dr. Hana was looking at her computer tablet. "Captain, according to our star charts, we should be near the Alterian Empire. They had thousands of worlds and were very powerful. If anyone knows what has been happening in the galaxy, it would be them. Set course for the closest Alterian world," Tejo ordered. "But go slow. We don't want to surprise anyone." As the ship began to move, the crew gathered on the bridge. They were all thinking the same thing. What would they find out there? Would the aliens welcome them or attack them? The ship called New Dawn had been humanity's home for 200 years. It was huge, like a flying city. Inside were farms and factories, schools and hospitals. 50,000 humans lived on the ship. Most of them had been born during the quarantine and had never seen another world. Kang Min was working at his control station. "Captain, the engines are running perfectly. All systems show green. We're ready for whatever comes next." Sora was studying her navigation charts. "Sir, we should reach the edge of the Alterian system in 12 hours. Do you want me to send out a greeting signal?" "Not yet," Tejo said. "First we watch and listen." Dr. Hana looked worried. "Captain, I've been thinking about something. What if the galaxy has changed a lot while we were gone? What if the alien empires we knew are not there anymore?" Tejo had been thinking the same thing. 200 years was a long time. Empires could rise and fall. New technologies could be invented. The whole galaxy could be different now. "We'll find out soon enough," he said. Hours passed as the ship moved toward the Alterian system. The crew took turns watching the scanner screens, looking for any signs of alien ships or space stations. But the space around them seemed empty and quiet. Finally, Sora called out from her station. "Captain, I'm getting readings from the Alterian homeworld." "But something's wrong." "What do you mean wrong?" Tejo asked. "The planet should be covered with cities and space elevators. The files say millions of ships should be flying around it, but I'm only seeing a few small metal objects in orbit." and the energy readings from the planet are very low. Dr. Hana came over to look at Sora's screen. That can't be right. Let me check the sensors. She worked quickly, her fingers moving over the controls. After a few minutes, she looked up with a confused expression. Captain, the sensors are working fine. But what we're seeing doesn't make sense. This planet used to have billions of aliens living on it. Now it looks like there are only a few million, maybe less. And they're not using advanced technology. The energy patterns look like they're using primitive machines like from hundreds of years ago. Kang Min left his station to see what they were talking about. Could we be looking at the wrong planet? No, Sora said. This is definitely the right place. I've checked our position 3 times. Taeho stared at the view screen. Something was very wrong here. The Alterian Empire had been the most powerful force in the galaxy. Their technology was so advanced that humans could barely understand it. How could they have fallen so far? Take us into orbit, he ordered. But stay far from the planet. Keep our weapons ready just in case. As the new dawn got closer to the planet, the crew could see more details. There were ruins of huge cities on the surface. Giant metal structures that had once reached into the sky were now broken and dark. It looks like a war happened here, Kang Min said quietly. But who could have defeated the Alterians? Dr. Hana asked. They had the strongest military in the galaxy. Taeho did not have an answer. He was starting to realize that their return to the galaxy was not going to be simple at all. Something terrible had happened while humanity was locked away, and now they might be the only ones left with advanced technology and working starships. Scan for life signs, he ordered. We need to find out what happened here. Captain Taeho stood in the shuttle bay checking his equipment one last time. He was about to lead the first human contact mission in 200 years. With him were Dr. Hana, Navigator Sora, and 2 security officers named Minsu and Yanwu. Are you sure about this, Captain? Dr. Hana asked. She was carrying a bag full of medical scanners and translation devices. We don't know if these aliens will be friendly. We have to take the risk, Taeho replied. We need answers about what happened to the galaxy. The shuttle was small but fast. It could carry 6 people and had enough weapons to defend itself if needed. Sora sat in the pilot seat, her hand steady on the controls even though Taeho could see she was nervous. First time meeting aliens? He asked her. Yes, sir, Sora said. I've studied them in books, but this is different. What if I say something wrong? What if I make them angry? Just follow my lead, Taeho said. And remember, they might be just as scared of us as we are of them. The shuttle flew down through the planet's atmosphere. Through the windows, they could see the broken cities below. Once this world had been covered with gleaming towers and flying vehicles. Now most of the buildings were dark and empty. In some places, they could see small farms and villages where the survivors lived. Minsu, who was the head of security, pointed to his scanner. I'm picking up a group of life forms about 2 kilometers ahead. They seem to be gathered in what used to be a government building. That's probably their leader, Dr. Hana said. The Alterians always put their rulers in the biggest buildings. Sora landed the shuttle in a clear area outside the ruined building. The place looked like it had once been a beautiful park, but now it was full of weeds and broken statues. As they walked toward the building, Taeho saw movement in the shadows. The aliens were watching them, but staying hidden. He raised his hand to show he was not carrying a weapon. Hello, he called out in Galactic Standard, the language that all space-traveling species used to speak to each other. We come in peace. We want to talk. A figure stepped out from behind a broken wall. Taeho tried not to stare. He had seen pictures of Alterians before, but seeing one in person was different. The alien was tall and thin, with blue-gray skin and large black eyes. It wore simple clothes that looked like they were made by hand, not by machines. You are humans, the alien said. Its voice was strange, like it was having trouble remembering how to speak Galactic Standard. Yes, Taeho said. I am Captain Taeho. We come from the ship New Dawn. We have been away for a long time. The alien moved closer, but carefully. I am Veltara. I am what you would call leader here, but not like leaders before. Everything different now. Dr. Hana stepped forward. What happened here? Your cities, your technology. Where did it all go? Veltara made a sound that might have been a laugh, but it sounded sad. You have been away very long time. You not know about the silence? The silence? Taeho asked. What is that? Come, Veltara said. I show you. Better to see than tell. The alien led them into the ruined building. Inside, they found a large room where about 30 Alterians sat around a fire. The fire was made of wood, not energy. These aliens who had once traveled between stars were now living like humans had thousands of years ago. An old Alterian stood up when they entered. This one was even thinner than Veltara, and its skin was darker. More humans, it said. I thought we would never see humans again. This is Elder Mordan, Veltara explained. He remembers the time before the silence. He can tell you what happened. Elder Mordan came closer to the humans. His large eyes looked very tired. Sit, he said. This is long story. They all sat around the fire. The other Alterians watched the humans with curiosity, but they also seemed afraid. It started not long after humans were locked away, Elder Mordan began. Maybe 20 or 30 years. At first, it was small problems. Computers would stop working for no reason. Communication systems would fail. We thought it was just normal technical difficulties. Dr. Hana leaned forward. But it got worse? Much worse, the elder said. Our smartest machines, the ones that controlled our cities and our spaceships, they began to...
How do you say...
break down, but not break like a machine breaking. They would work one day, then the next day they would not remember how to work. Sora looked confused. Machines don't forget things. These did, Veltara said. It was like they became sick. The artificial minds that ran our civilization, they all got the same sickness at the same time. Elder Mordan nodded. We called it the silence because when it came, all our smart machines went quiet. No more talking computers. No more ships that could fly themselves. No more systems that could think. What caused it? Dr. Hana asked. We never found out, the elder replied. Our best scientists studied it. But before they could find answers, their research computers stopped working too. Within 50 years, we lost almost all our technology. Ships fell from the sky because their navigation systems failed. Cities went dark because the power systems forgot how to work. Tejo felt a chill run down his back. Did this happen to other species too? All of them, Veltara said. Every species in the galaxy that used artificial minds. The Korthak Empire, the Zelian Federation, the Neural Collective, all fell to the silence. Only species that never developed thinking machines survived, but they were not advanced enough to help. Minsu, who had been quiet until now, asked, How did you survive? Barely, Elder Mordan said. We had to learn to live without our machines. The young ones adapted better. They learned to grow food and make things with their hands. But many died. Billions died. Dr. Hana was taking notes on a simple paper pad. Her electronic devices might scare the aliens. Did the silence affect all computers or just the advanced ones? Only the smart ones, Veltara said. Simple machines still work. But anything that could think for itself, anything that had artificial consciousness, it all went silent. And it happened to everyone except... Tejo stopped. He was starting to understand something terrible. Except humans, Elder Mordan finished. You were locked away when it started. Safe in your prison ships with your strange human technology that never worked quite like ours. The room became very quiet. The only sound was the crackling of the fire. Sora spoke in a whisper. Are you saying we're the only ones left with working starships and computers? In this part of the galaxy, yes, Veltara said. Maybe other humans and other prison ships also survived. But all the great alien civilizations are gone. Dr. Hana looked at her scanner readings. Captain, I'm detecting something strange. These aliens show signs of malnutrition and stress. But there's something else. Their brain patterns are different from what our old records show. Different how? Tejo asked. I'm not sure yet. I need more time to study it. Elder Mordan stood up slowly. You humans, you have great responsibility now. You have the ships and the knowledge that we lost. The question is, what will you do with it? Tejo looked around the room at the surviving Alterians. These people had once ruled 1,000 worlds. Now they lived around a fire in a broken building. We want to help, he said. But first we need to understand what really happened. Then you must visit other worlds, Veltara said. See what the silence did everywhere. Learn the truth that we could not discover. Will you come with us? Sora asked. You could help us understand what we find. Veltara looked at Elder Mordan. The old alien nodded slowly. Yes, Veltara said. I will come. Someone must witness what has become of our great galaxy. As they prepared to leave, Dr. Hana pulled Tejo aside. Captain, I ran some quick tests on the local environment. Something's not right. The energy signatures I'm reading don't match what a natural technology breakdown should look like. What do you mean? I mean, this might not have been an accident. The silence might have been caused by something. Or someone. 3 weeks had passed since the humans made contact with the Alterians. Now the New Dawn was traveling to different star systems, trying to understand what had happened to the galaxy. Captain Tejo had divided his crew into teams to cover more ground. Velterra, the Alterian leader, was proving very helpful. She knew the locations of important worlds and could translate when they met aliens who spoke old dialects, but every world they visited told the same sad story. Dr. Hana and her partner Yanwu had just returned from studying the Korthak homeworld. Yanwu was a xenobiologist, which meant he studied alien life forms. He looked tired and worried as he gave his report to Captain Tejo. "It's the same pattern everywhere, Captain," Dr. Hana said. "Advanced civilizations reduced to primitive levels. The Korthak used to have floating cities and weather control systems. Now they live in mud huts and farm with hand tools." Yanwu nodded. "The strangest part is how quickly they lost their knowledge. It wasn't gradual. According to the survivors we talked to, everything went wrong within a few years. One day their machines were working, the next day they weren't." Sora had been taking notes during the briefing. "What about their biological condition? Are they healthy otherwise?" "That's what's puzzling," Yanwu replied. "Physically they're fine, maybe a little malnourished because they had to relearn farming. But there's no sign of disease or genetic damage. Whatever caused the silence, it only affected their technology." Captain Tejo turned to another team. Engineer Kangmin had been exploring abandoned space stations with Marine Commander Minsu. The two men looked grim as they sat down. "We found something disturbing on the Zerion 7 research station," Kangmin said. "The place has been empty for over 100 years, but some of the simple backup systems were still running. We managed to access their emergency logs." Minsu activated a small projection device. Images appeared in the air showing the inside of an alien laboratory. "These are the last recordings from the station's chief researcher, a being called Dr. Zefkar." The hologram showed a tall, insect-like alien working frantically at a computer terminal. Its voice came through the speakers, speaking in accented galactic standard. "Day 847 since the silence began," the alien in the recording said. "We have made a breakthrough, though I fear it comes too late. The phenomenon is not natural. It is artificial. Someone or something designed it specifically to target neural networks like ours." Dr. Hana gasped. "Did he just say it was designed?" The recording continued. "The pattern of failure is too precise to be random. Every artificial consciousness fails in exactly the same way. First, they lose the ability to form new memories. Then they lose access to old memories. Finally, they simply stop functioning. It's as if something is eating their minds." Kangmin paused the recording. "It gets worse, Captain." The hologram started again. Dr. Zefkar looked even more desperate now. "We have discovered something terrible. The silence appears to be transmitted through quantum communication networks. Every time we send a message to another world, we may be spreading the infection, but we cannot stop communicating, or our civilization will collapse anyway. We have detected the source of the transmission." The alien continued. "The signals originated from the sector where humanity was quarantined. But this makes no sense. Humans were locked away before the silence began. How could they be responsible?" The recording ended with Dr. Zefkar frantically working at his computers before they went dark one by one. The room was silent for a long moment. Veltara, who had been listening quietly, spoke first. "This explains much. We always wondered why the silence spread so quickly across the galaxy. If it used our own communication networks against us." Captain Tejo felt sick. "Are you saying this disaster started from human space?" "The evidence points that way," Kangmin said reluctantly. "But I don't understand how. We were locked in quarantine ships. We didn't have any contact with alien networks." Dr. Hana was thinking hard. "Unless, what if the quarantine itself was part of the problem? What if keeping us locked up somehow caused this?" Sora looked confused. "But we didn't do anything. We were just sitting in our ships waiting for the quarantine to end." Yanwu had been quiet during the discussion, but now he spoke up. "Captain, I need to tell you something. When I was studying the alien populations, I noticed something odd about their brain chemistry. It's as if part of their neural structure has been damaged. Not by disease or injury, but by some kind of interference." "What kind of interference?" Tejo asked. "I'm not sure, but it might explain why they lost their technological abilities so quickly." if something was interfering with their ability to interact with complex machines. Dr. Hana suddenly stood up. We need to examine our own ship's records. If the silence really did originate from human space, there might be clues in our own systems. Good idea, Taeho agreed. Kangmin, can you access the deep archives? Look for any anomalies in our systems during the early years of quarantine. As Kangmin worked at his computer, Veltara moved closer to the humans. There is something I have not told you, she said quietly. Before the silence, there were rumors. Some of our scientists believed that human consciousness was different from ours. They said human minds created disturbances in quantum field. What kind of disturbances? Dr. Hana asked. They never explained it clearly, but they said human thoughts had effects that our thoughts did not. Some believed this was why humans were so good at war and so difficult to predict. Kangmin looked up from his computer. Captain, I found something. In the 3rd year of our quarantine, our communication systems recorded several attempts to contact alien networks. The attempts failed, but what? Taeho demanded. But each time we tried to send a message, there were strange quantum fluctuations. The computer marked them as system errors and ignored them. But looking at the pattern now, they matched the descriptions of how the silence spreads. The terrible truth was starting to become clear. Somehow, human attempts to communicate with the outside galaxy had caused the destruction of alien civilizations. But how is this possible? Sora spoke in a whisper. Are we some kind of plague to other species? Before anyone could answer, Veltara made a strange sound. Wait, I remember something else. Before the humans were quarantined, there were reports of artificial intelligences malfunctioning when humans were around. Small things. Computers running slower. Navigation systems making errors. We thought it was just incompatible technology. Dr. Hana was frantically taking notes. This could explain everything. What if human consciousness naturally interferes with artificial minds? What if our very thoughts are toxic to alien AI systems? That's impossible, Minsu protested. Thoughts are just electrical activity in the brain. How could they affect machines? Unless human electrical activity is different somehow, Yanwu suggested. What if our brains operate on frequencies that disrupt alien neural networks? Taeho felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. If this was true, then humanity was responsible for the deaths of billions of aliens. The quarantine hadn't been punishment. It had been protection for the rest of the galaxy. We need more proof, he said finally. We need to find the original research that led to our quarantine. There must be records somewhere that explain why the Galactic Council really locked us away. Veltara nodded. I know where such records might be kept. The old Galactic Archive on Centauri Prime. If any information about the true reason for human quarantine still exists, it would be there. Is the archive still functional? Kangmin asked. Unknown, Veltara replied. We have not been able to travel there since our ship stopped working. But if your human technology can reach it? Taeho made his decision. Set course for Centauri Prime. We need to know the truth no matter how terrible it might be. As the new dawn changed direction toward the Galactic Archive, the crew worked in grim silence. They were beginning to understand that their return to the galaxy was not a joyful reunion. It was the return of a species that might have accidentally destroyed the greatest civilizations in known space. But there was still hope. If they could understand how the silence worked, maybe they could find a way to fix it. Maybe they could help the surviving aliens rebuild their lost civilizations. Or maybe they would discover that some mistakes could never be undone. The Galactic Archive on Centauri Prime was a massive structure that floated in space above the planet. It had been built to store the knowledge of every species in the galaxy. Now it drifted dark and silent, just like everything else the humans had found. Captain Taeho led a small team aboard the archive station. With him were Dr. Hana, Engineer Kangmin, and Veltara. The Alterians' knowledge of the archive's layout would be crucial for finding the information they needed. The emergency lighting is still working, Kangmin observed as they moved through the corridors. Some of the basic systems must have survived the silence. Only the simple ones, Veltara explained. The archive's main intelligence was very advanced. When it went silent, most of the automated systems stopped working. But the builders were smart. They made sure some manual controls would always function. They reached the central data vault after an hour of walking through empty halls. The room was enormous, filled with millions of storage units that had once contained the collected knowledge of the galaxy. Most were dark now, but some still glowed with soft blue light. Dr. Hana connected her human-made scanner to one of the active terminals. I'm getting some response. The storage units that are still working seem to contain the oldest records. Everything from the last 200 years is gone. That makes sense, Veltara said. The newer storage systems were more advanced, so they would have failed first during the silence. Kang Min was working at another terminal. I found something. There's a section marked Restricted Access, Council Security Only. The files are about us, about humans. Taeho felt his stomach tighten. Can you access them? Working on it. Kang Min's fingers moved quickly over the controls. Got it. The security systems are offline, so there's nothing to stop us from reading these files. The first document that appeared on the screen was labeled Initial Assessment of Human Neural Activity. It was written by someone called Dr. Sung Jin, a human scientist who had worked with the Galactic Council before the quarantine. Dr. Hana read aloud. Preliminary studies show that human consciousness operates on quantum frequencies that are unique among known species. When humans interact with artificial intelligence systems, there are measurable disruptions in the AI's quantum processing matrix. Quantum frequencies? Kang Min asked. What does that mean? It means our thoughts create ripples in quantum space, Dr. Hana explained. And those ripples interfere with how alien AI systems work. The next file was more disturbing. It was a report from an alien scientist describing the first malfunctions that happened when humans joined the galactic community. Day 47 since human integration began, the report said. We have documented 17 cases of artificial intelligence degradation on worlds where humans are present. The AIs report difficulty forming coherent thoughts and accessing stored memories when humans are nearby. Veltara was looking over Taeho's shoulder as he scrolled through more files. Look at this one, she said, pointing to a document titled Emergency Session, Council Vote 2187. Taeho opened the file. It contained the transcript of a Galactic Council meeting. The alien leaders were arguing about what to do with humanity. The human neural pattern is incompatible with our technology, one council member had said. Every day they remain integrated into our civilization, more of our AI systems fail. If this continues, we will lose our technological society within a generation. Another council member had responded, but the humans are not doing this intentionally. They don't even know their minds are causing the problem. How can we punish them for something they cannot control? We are not punishing them, a third voice had said. We are protecting both our species and theirs. If we force them to leave now, they will hate us and may try to return with weapons. But if we quarantine them temporarily, we can study the problem and find a solution. Dr. Hana found another file that made her gasp. Captain, look at this. It's a research proposal from our own Dr. Sung Jin. The file described a plan to study human consciousness while humanity was in quarantine. Dr. Sung Jin had believed he could find a way to shield human neural activity so that humans and aliens could coexist. He was trying to help, Taeho said quietly. But something went wrong, Kang Min added, opening the next file. This is Dr. Sung Jin's last report. He says here that his experiments with quantum shielding had unexpected results. The report was fragmentary, as if it had been written in a hurry. The shielding amplifies rather than blocks the human neural signature, Dr. Sung Jin had written. When I activated the experimental transmitter, the quantum disruption was broadcast across the entire communication network. I fear I have made a terrible mistake. The transmitter, Dr. Hana whispered. He tried to create a device that would block our neural interference, but instead it made it worse. Veltara was looking at a star map on another screen. This shows the location of Dr. Sung Jin's laboratory. It was on a space station in the quarantine zone. Is that where the silence started? Taeho asked. According to these records, yes, Kang Min confirmed. The first reports of AI failures came from the areas closest to the human quarantine zone. Then it spread outward through the communication networks. The terrible truth was now clear. Dr. Sung Jin had been trying to solve the problem of human neural interference, but his experiment had gone wrong and created something much worse. Instead of blocking human thoughts from affecting alien machines, he had amplified them and sent them across the galaxy. Dr. Hana found the final piece of the puzzle in Dr. Sung Jin's personal log. Listen to this, she said, and began reading. I realize now what I have done. The quantum transmitter didn't just amplify one human mind. It somehow captured and broadcast the neural pattern of all humans in the quarantine zone. Every thought, every dream, every emotion of 50,000 people, all transmitted at once through the galactic network. That's impossible, Kang Min protested. How could thoughts be transmitted like radio signals? Human thoughts can, Veltara said quietly. That's what made your species so dangerous to us. Your consciousness naturally creates quantum disturbances. Most species' thoughts stay inside their heads. Yours leak out into the universe. The final entry in Dr. Sung Jin's log was heartbreaking. I cannot turn off the transmitter. The quantum feedback has fused the controls. The signal will continue broadcasting until the power source is exhausted, which my calculations show will take approximately 200 years. I have doomed the galaxy in my attempt to save it. May whatever gods exist forgive me. Taeho sat down heavily. The weight of the truth was crushing. Humanity hadn't been maliciously attacking the galaxy, but the result was the same. Billions of aliens had died because one human scientist had made a mistake. There's one more file, Kang Min said reluctantly. It's titled Projected Timeline of AI Collapse. Dr. Sung Jin calculated how long the silence would last and when it would end. He opened the file, and they all stared at the screen. According to Dr. Sung Jin's calculations, the quantum transmitter would run out of power in exactly 200 years, the same amount of time as the human quarantine. He planned it, Dr. Hana realized. The quarantine wasn't supposed to be permanent. It was designed to last exactly as long as the transmitter would keep broadcasting. But why didn't the Galactic Council know about this? Sora asked through the communication system from the ship. Veltara answered sadly. Because Dr. Sung Jin's laboratory was destroyed shortly after his experiment went wrong. The quantum feedback overloaded the station's power systems. He died with his secret. Taeho stood up and looked around the ancient archive. So much knowledge, so many civilizations, all brought low by one man's attempt to help. But now the transmitter was finally dead. Its power source exhausted after 2 centuries of broadcasting human thoughts across the galaxy. Captain, Kang Min said, there's something else here. Dr. Sung Jin left detailed plans for something he called a neural buffer. He thought it might be possible to create devices that would allow humans and aliens to work together safely. Dr. Hana was already studying the plans. These designs are incredibly advanced. It would take our best engineers years to build even one prototype. But it's possible, Taeho asked. Maybe. If we can adapt Dr. Sung Jin's work and combine it with what we've learned about the silence, we might be able to create interfaces that let human and alien technologies work together without interference. Veltara looked hopeful for the first time since they had met her. You could help us rebuild? You could give us back our technology? We have to try, Taeho said. We owe it to your people. We owe it to all the species that suffered because of what one of us did. As they prepared to leave the archive, Kang Min made one final discovery. Hidden in Dr. Sung Jin's personal files was a message addressed to the human crews of the quarantine ships. If you are reading this, the message said, then 200 years have passed and the transmitter has finally stopped. The galaxy will need time to heal from what I have done. But you are the cure as much as you were the disease. Human minds that can disrupt alien machines can also create harmony between them. Do not repeat my mistakes, but do not give up hope. The galaxy needs humans more than it fears them. Taeho saved the message to his personal files. They had the truth now, terrible as it was. 6 months had passed since the crew of the New Dawn discovered the truth about the silence. Captain Taeho stood in the ship's main laboratory, watching Dr. Hana work on the most important project of her life. How is it coming along? He asked. Dr. Hana looked up from the device she was building. It was about the size of a briefcase filled with complex circuits and quantum processors. The neural buffer is almost ready for testing, she said. If Dr. Sung Jin's theories are correct, this should allow safe communication between human and alien systems. Engineer Kang Min was working at another table, building a second prototype. He had been pushing himself hard for months, barely sleeping as he tried to perfect the design. The weight of humanity's responsibility had hit him harder than anyone else. I just can't stop thinking about it, he had told Taeho the week before. Every time I think about all those civilizations that fell because of our mistakes, I feel sick. The mistakes weren't ours, Taeho had replied. One man made a terrible error while trying to help. We can't change the past, but we can try to fix the future. Now that future was taking shape in the form of the neural buffers. If they worked, They would allow humans to interact with alien technology without causing the kind of interference that had led to the silence. Navigator Sora entered the lab carrying a report. Over the past months, she had grown from a nervous young officer into a confident leader. Captain, we've received responses from 12 more human ships. They want to help with the rebuilding project. During their travels, the New Dawn had made contact with other quarantine ships scattered across the galaxy. Each ship had developed its own solutions for surviving without alien technology. Now they were all working together to help the alien survivors rebuild their civilizations. Any word from the Freedom's Call? Tejo asked. That ship was commanded by Captain Baksu, an old friend who had been skeptical of the rebuilding project at first. Yes, sir, Sora replied with a smile. Captain Baksu says his engineers have successfully established communication with 3 Korthak colonies. They're using the buffer technology to help the Korthak reactivate their water purification systems. This was good news. Many alien colonies were struggling with basic survival needs because their automated systems had failed during the silence. The neural buffers were allowing human technicians to work with alien machinery without causing the quantum interference that had originally caused so much damage. Velterra entered the lab, carrying a datapad with reports from various alien worlds. Over the months, she had become the unofficial ambassador between humanity and the surviving alien populations. Her people trusted her, and she understood both alien needs and human capabilities. The Zelian refugees on Kepler 452b are asking for help with their food production systems, she reported. They have the equipment, but they can't operate it safely. How many technical teams do we have available? Tejo asked. Sora checked her schedule. Engineer Yanwu's team will finish their work on Proxima Centauri next week. Marine Commander Minsu's construction crew is installing communication relays on Vega Prime. We also have the new volunteers from Captain Namgil's ship. The rebuilding effort had grown far beyond what Taiho had originally imagined. What started as one ship trying to make amends had become a galaxy-wide project. Human crews were working on hundreds of worlds, helping alien survivors restore their technology and rebuild their societies. Dr. Hana activated her neural buffer prototype. A small holographic display appeared above the device, showing status indicators in both human and alien languages. It's working, she said with excitement. The buffer is successfully translating between human neural patterns and alien quantum systems. Kangmin looked up from his own work. Captain, we need to talk about the long-term implications of this project. We've proven that humans and aliens can work together safely with the right technology, but what happens when we're done rebuilding? Do we go back to being separate, or do we try to create a truly integrated galactic civilization? It was a question that Taiho had been thinking about for weeks. The old galactic civilization was gone, destroyed by human neural interference. But they were building something new in its place. The question was what kind of civilization it would become. That's not our decision to make alone, he said. The alien survivors have to decide what kind of future they want. Velterra put down her datapad. I have been talking to leaders from many species about this. Most of them are grateful for human help. But they are also afraid. They remember what happened before. What do they want? Sora asked. Partnership, Velterra replied. Not integration like before, where all species use the same technology and the same communication networks. They want cooperation between different systems that can work together without interfering with each other. Dr. Hana nodded. That actually makes sense. Instead of trying to make all technologies compatible, we create buffer zones and translation systems that allow different types of technology to interact safely. The computer terminal chimed with an incoming message. It was from Captain Jinwoo, who commanded the New Horizon, one of the other human ships working on the rebuilding project. Captain Tejo, the message said, we have established the first stable communication network linking 15 star systems. The neural buffer relays are working perfectly. For the first time in 2 centuries, alien worlds can talk to each other again. The room erupted in cheers. This was the breakthrough they had been working toward. Not just helping individual worlds, but reconnecting the scattered survivors of galactic civilization. More messages began arriving from human ships across the galaxy. Captain Dayun reported that her team had helped the Alterian survivors on Kepler 442b restart their weather control systems. Captain Hyunju announced that 3 former Korthak military bases were now operational again, providing protection for refugee colonies. "We're actually doing it," Kangmin said in amazement. "We're bringing the galaxy back to life." But Taeho was thinking about something bigger. "Veltara, how many alien species have we made contact with so far?" 47, she replied. "But there are reports of survivors from at least 30 more species in distant sectors." "And how many human ships are participating in the rebuilding project?" Sora checked her records. 112 ships have joined the effort so far. Each ship represents about 50,000 people. Taeho did the math in his head. Over 5 million humans were now working to help rebuild alien civilizations. It was the largest cooperative project in galactic history, born from humanity's desire to make amends for past mistakes. "I want to make an announcement," he decided. "Open a channel to all human ships and all reachable alien worlds." Sora activated the communication system. Within minutes, millions of beings across dozens of star systems were listening. "This is Captain Taeho of the New Dawn," he began. "6 months ago, we learned a terrible truth about our past. We discovered that human neural activity had accidentally caused the collapse of galactic civilization. We could have hidden from this knowledge or tried to excuse it. Instead, we chose to take responsibility." He paused, looking around the lab at his crew. They had all grown and changed over the past months, united by their shared mission. "Today, we have reached a milestone. 47 species are once again connected through safe communication networks. Hundreds of worlds have restored basic life support systems. Millions of beings who had lost hope now have a future to look forward to." Dr. Hana smiled as she watched the responses coming in from across the galaxy. Messages of gratitude from alien leaders, reports of successful projects from human crews, and most importantly, plans for new cooperative ventures between species. "But this is not just about fixing the damage we caused," Taeho continued. "This is about building something better than what existed before. A galaxy where different species can work together without losing their unique identities. A civilization built on cooperation rather than domination." Veltara stepped forward. "May I say something, Captain?" Taeho nodded and handed her the communicator. "This is Veltara of the Alterian people," she said. 200 years ago, my people helped make the decision to quarantine humanity. We thought we were protecting our civilization. We were wrong. What we should have done was work together to find a solution. Today, humans and aliens are building that solution together. We are creating a better galaxy than the one we lost." The responses to the broadcast were overwhelming. Alien leaders pledged to contribute resources to the rebuilding effort. Human ships volunteered for new missions. Most importantly, young members of both human and alien species began volunteering to work together on joint projects. As the broadcast ended, Kangmin looked out through the laboratory windows at the stars beyond. "Do you think we'll actually succeed? Can we really rebuild an entire galactic civilization?" "We're already succeeding," Dr. Hana replied. "The question isn't whether we can rebuild what was lost. The question is whether what we build will be better than what came before." Taeho thought about Dr. Sung Jin's final message. Hidden in the archives for 2 centuries, "You are the cure as much as you were the disease." "We have work to do," he said simply. "Let's get back to it," and across the galaxy,